A monumental shift is coming to social media in 2026, and it's going to impact all of us. I have spoken at more industry events than I can actually count this year. And let me tell you, I have picked up some very vital information that we all need to know about the future of social media. So here is a lowdown on the top 5 biggest trends, what they mean for us as creators of content on social media, and how we can leverage them. By the way, this video is sponsored by Storyblocks, more on them later. Trend number 1, will 2026 be the year that the algorithms die? Honestly, maybe. Now let me make sure I do this trend justice, because I know a lot of you will be leaning in to the screen right now, waiting for what I'm about to say. People have been pushing back against algorithms, specifically on platforms like Instagram, for a while now, but we have officially reached a turning point where platforms are starting to make changes so that algorithms are less significant. Take this quote from a report by Mintel, and by the way, the sources to everything I talk about in this video is linked in my description. Misinformation and expansion of algorithms across everyday routines started to create tension, and consumers started questioning whether algorithms simplify their lives or overwhelm them. The quote's basically saying that people have had enough. People feel like algorithms are starting to cause silos, which, I mean, yeah, they are, but also they don't trust that algorithms are actually showing them the best content. We've all heard it before, right? The algorithms are designed to try and ensure that we see content that actually matters to us the most. But over the years, we've started to realize that actually we're missing out on content from our friends, from our loved ones, from our family, and instead we're being served content from brands and media outlets that we don't necessarily want to see. Now, what my prediction here is that more and more platforms are going to release tools which allow you to dictate what you see on your home feeds. We're already seeing some platforms do this, right? Instagram announced literally weeks before I'm filming this video that they are rolling out new algorithm control features specifically for their reels, and that they're testing them with a handful of US creators. If you allow me just to read out the second quote of the video, even though we're only like 2 minutes in, but this is an important one because this is word for word what Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, said about this feature. This is a way to see and control your algorithm that we're starting to test with a small percentage of users this week. You can see everything we think you're interested in, and you can actually add and remove interests. What he's saying is, you know what? You don't like our algorithm? Cool. We're going to show you what our algorithm has concluded you are interested in. For example, cars, finance, fashion, etc. We're going to show you what we think you're interested in. And not only that, we're going to allow you to change that. So if you think you're seeing too much content from home interior accounts, even though you don't care about those accounts, you will have the ability to remove that interest and no longer see that predominantly on your feed. If you merge that with other tools that most social media platforms have, where you're allowed to actually pause the amount of ads that you see on your home feed, you can remove posts based on keywords and ensure that you don't see content similar to that again. If you merge those features together and you use each and every one of them, you will actually be able to have significant control over your algorithm. And this is just the beginning. I think we're going to move to a place where actually all of our algorithms are tailored to us by us and not by the social media platforms. So what does this mean for us, the people who create the content to post on social media? This is a significant shakeup because soon we hopefully won't be only relying on algorithms to push our content out to our audience. We'll also be relying on our audience to take control of their algorithms to ensure they're seeing the content they want to see. For us to really leverage this new trend, we need to make sure that the platforms we're on know what each post is about. I've actually been saying this for years, but this is more important now than ever before, right? Because you think of it this way, if you create fashion content and you've got someone out there, a future follower, who has updated their algorithm so that they only see fashion content, you're only going to benefit from that change if Instagram knows that your content is about fashion. If it doesn't know that, then your content won't appear under all of those feeds from people who are specifying that they want to see content like yours. If you don't quite know how to train an algorithm so that it knows what your content is about, the biggest thing to focus on is establishing keywords that accurately reflect your different posts. For example, fashion, and not only ensuring that you're using these keywords in your comment replies, in your captions, but also you're saying these words in your videos itself. Social media platforms use something called metadata, and this is basically when they're looking through every element of your post, from the file name to the caption to the transcript, to try and figure out what your content is about. So use that and leverage it. Okay, trend number 2. Followers and subscriber count will no longer matter. I told you there's going to be a big shakeup, guys. I wasn't exaggerating. So there have been a few signals leading to this trend. I actually filmed a whole video about how your subscriber count doesn't matter, like years ago now. And a lot of people disagreed with me under this video, but I think what's happening now is that more and more people are actually saying a lot of the points that I made and realizing that your follower and subscriber count is probably the biggest vanity metric that you have. And actually, it's not worth much in the grand scheme of things. Now, there's a few things driving this trend. The first is that there's been a drop in following across the board. So nowadays, when you see a piece of content that you love on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, the chances of you following that creator has significantly dropped year on year. So that means that some of the best content creators, media companies, brands in the world who are producing amazing content aren't necessarily seeing a huge spike in their follower count, even though they are receiving a lot of engagement on the content itself. Naturally, as that gap widens between great performing content and actually getting followers, the less important the followers will be, because really majority of the value comes from whether people are seeing your content and liking your content. The other thing that is driving this trend is that algorithms are becoming incredibly powerful. Now, I know I just mentioned that people are going to have more control over their algorithms in the future, but having more control over your algorithms still means that there will be an algorithm at play. And what's happening is that these algorithms are getting smarter and smarter, and people are trusting algorithms to bring content back to them rather than following the creator themselves. I'm sure you've seen this on TikTok, people commenting saying, trusting the algorithm to bring you back to part 2. In my millennial brain, I'm like, just follow the creator and then you definitely know you'll see part 2. But for a lot of people, specifically young people, they don't want to do that. They just want to trust that the algorithm's going to show them part 2 when they're ready. One of the points that I made in this video about subscribers not mattering anymore is the fact that I could have hundreds, maybe even thousands of people who have been regularly watching my content for years and may not currently be subscribed to me. And the reason why that can happen is because YouTube's algorithm is very good at picking up viewer patterns and behavior. So if you watch this video and then you watch my next video, there's a big chance that the next time I post, it's going to appear on your home screen, even if you've not subscribed to me yet. It's just going to follow you around because YouTube has picked up on the fact that you enjoy my content, hopefully. Fingers crossed you like it. A quick look at your YouTube analytics can show you that as well. Like for a lot of us, we have a lot of people consuming our content on a regular basis who aren't subscribed, right? And that's because they can. The algorithms allow them to do that. Now, I know some of you will listen to this and think, this isn't true. If you have a bigger follower size, you can get more brand deals or whatever, better opportunities. And I'm not going to sit here and gaslight you and be like, no one's ever going to consider your follower account again in the future. Of course, that's still going to be a piece of the puzzle, but that piece in 2026 is going to be a lot smaller and a lot less significant. Case in point, I was at an event recently and I was speaking to someone who ran a production company. They are working with a creator in the UK who they have paid hundreds of thousands of pounds to produce a new series with. Hundreds of thousands, right? And this creator, in their words, isn't actually very big. Now, I didn't pry and ask the exact number of followers because I felt like at that time that would have been rude. But the vibe I got is that that creator is someone who's maybe my size. Do not get me wrong. I'm aware that I have hundreds of thousands of people in my audience. However, for someone my size to get a production deal for a TV series worth hundreds of thousands of pounds would previously be unheard of. Ordinarily, those kind of deals would only be reserved for creators who had millions and millions of followers. Now, whilst that might not be the most attainable thing at the moment, because I'm still talking about a few 100,000 people in your audience, I just want you to consider the significance of this change and what that will mean for the future, and hopefully what that will mean in terms of more smaller to mid-sized creators getting even better opportunities. I will be filming a whole video that is specifically about creator economy trends, by the way, so just watch this space. So what does this mean for you and I? I actually think this is a positive thing for all of us. I think it gives us such clarity on what we should be focusing on. Things like watch time, retention, engagement, those metrics have never been more important. I think it means for smaller creators, there should be more opportunities for you in the future. And for bigger creators, they can stop obsessing over the number of people in their audience. So to leverage this, focus on the metrics that matter. Before we dive into the rest of the huge shifts coming to social media, I do want to talk to you about a tool that if you're not using yet, I really hope you're going to be using in 2026. That tool is Storyblocks. Storyblocks is a stock media subscription service which gives you unlimited access to millions of assets that you can utilize to level up your social media content. These assets include videos, images, sound effects, templates, and so much more. It's an incredibly vast, high quality library of stock media assets that are available to you at one monthly cost. One of my favorite things about the content that you'll get access to when you join Storyblocks is the fact that their library is authentic and created by real artists. Later on in this video, I'll be talking about a trend that is very AI driven, and I feel like it's always important to balance things like AI with real content produced by real people, and Storyblocks allows you to do that. By using this authentic content, you're able to tell more powerful stories because you know it's been created by a human based on a real life experience. In addition to this, when you utilize this content, you get access to clear-cut licensing. This means that you can stay protected in perpetuity by the highest level of legal coverage in the industry so that you can focus on creating and not worrying about copyright strikes. books. Plus, the library is curated and it's fresh, which means it's frequently updated with brand new commissioned content. So you can always rest assured that the library you're using is based on the latest trends and what people are actually searching for. So if you want to get started browsing through their incredible library, head to the link in my description or storyblocks.com/Jade Beeson to get started. Next up, social media is the new TV. This is a big one. And if you think you've heard me talk about this before, you haven't, or at least in this context. Production companies are waking up to the power of creators. I have been invited to so many TV and film events this year to speak about content creation, to speak about the powers of creators. It's insane. People who I've only dreamed of having relationships with are now emailing me. And this is not an isolated story. Creators from all different niches and all different backgrounds are slowly started to be integrated into TV and traditional broadcasting. And why is that happening, I hear you ask? It's because the world have woken up to the power of creators. Now, in my opinion, there's one key thing that has driven this trend, and it's the fact that more and more people are consuming social media content on their TVs. In fact, it's gotten to the point where Instagram are actually working on their own TV app, which means you'll soon be able to scroll your home feed on the big screen. Not only that, but TikTok have been rumored to be working on a similar app for a while as well. And YouTube is a different story, guys. Take this article by the Wall Street Journal, a very reputable media company that literally has the headline, "How YouTube Won the Battle for TV Viewers." They are literally declaring YouTube as the winners of TV broadcasting, streaming, all of it. Whenever I have this conversation with people who don't watch a lot of YouTube on their TV, they often reply like, really? Do that many people really consume YouTube and social media on their telly? Well, on average, more than 1 billion hours of YouTube is watched on the TV every single day. And that's more than Disney gets from their broadcast networks, their cable channels, and all of their streaming services combined. That is insane. And when you think about the fact that majority of the content that people are consuming from YouTube on the telly has been written, produced, filmed, edited by content creators, you start to realize why social media is becoming the new TV. What does this mean for you and I though? Well, it means a few things. From a creator perspective, it means huge opportunities. And I'm going to dive into that a lot more in my Creator Economy 2026 trend prediction video. On the slightly more negative side, it means as people who produce content on social media full stop, audiences are actually expecting more from us because they are consuming our content on the big screen. So in order for us to leverage this shift, we need to make sure now more than ever that our content has a narrative to it, that it's filmed on a good phone or a good camera. For those of you who only share short form, maybe now's a good time to consider long form, whether it's still going to be on a platform like TikTok, which does actually allow for long form landscape videos, or whether you want to finally give YouTube a try, maybe this is the sign you need to actually go and do that. Okay, so this next trend is going to make some people mad, but I am just the messenger, okay? This next trend is that high quality storytelling content is going to become the norm. Depending on who you are, that will either be good news or bad news. And I know for a lot of you, that's going to be very frustrating news. Hear me out. This trend has been on the horizon for a while. I'm actually pretty sure I've said a few times that this is something that's coming. So don't sit there and tell me that I didn't warn you, okay? There has been a shift happening towards the back end of 2025 where a lot of creators were using social media as a true creative outlet to produce some high quality stuff. We're talking cinema level videography, insane content. You could argue that this has been supercharged by the introduction of AI tools, which have made it easier for content creators to enter the space and produce content that's really high quality. Regardless of the thing that's driving this trend, the trend is here. And when creators across the board level up their content, it does mean that everyone else starts to feel the squeeze and starts to feel like they need to do the same. I'm speaking from personal experience. That's exactly what I did with my short form content. It worked, but it really required me to get out of my comfort zone again and level up my overall quality of content. Now, on the storytelling part of the equation, I believe this has been driven by two things. One, the introduction of people telling very long-winded stories over like a 50-part series. You could argue that the Who the F Did I Marry series, almost forgot the name, maybe was the catalyst for this. Who knows? I also think the second thing driving this is our attention spans. As they have shortened, things like hooks have become more important. And we're now at a stage where it's not enough just to have a good hook. The rest of your video actually needs to have a good pace and follow a decent story arc as well in order for people to not only stop scrolling, but to actually continue watching. The third thing driving this, I realize I said two things, but there's actually three things, is what I mentioned before in that social media is becoming the new TV. And as more and more people consume our content on the big screen, they are expecting us to tell stories and have a strong narrative. So how do we do this? What does this mean for us, right? I'm going to do a cheeky plug here because the first thing I want you to do is to watch this video. It is my storytelling video that I'm very proud of. Got great feedback on it. And I think it's going to really help anyone who is struggling to tell a story through their content. Even people who have content like mine that is very like formatted and structural and education based, even we can use storytelling techniques as well. Also, a quick caveat, this doesn't mean that creators who share like your raw, unpolished content won't thrive on social media anymore. I'm not saying that across the board. I'm just saying that the people who are the most likely to see success on social media in 2026 are the ones who either are telling a good story or have high quality production value, or both. Last but certainly not least, authentic engagement will be hanging on for dear life. Now, this is an AI-based trend, obviously. I wasn't going to have a trend that's just like AI because we're past that, right? But we all know that AI is massively impacting how we use social media, and that is not going to change in 2026. What I wanted to do was not be vague and actually specify how it's going to impact social media next year. And this is how. AI tools are flooding the marketplace. Some of the tools that are getting the most hype and that I'm predicting will continue to be released in 2026 are tools that make engagement easier. I do this because it's like, yeah, it makes it easier, but it also makes it less authentic. Let's look at this feature that was announced by Meta in March 2025. So this was a while ago, but then it kind of went quiet, and I think it's going to come back up, not just for Meta platforms, but for all social platforms next year. This feature was an AI comment generator, which essentially allowed you to use AI to write comments under other people's content. And you could argue that it could also be used to respond to people's comments too, which would completely remove you from the equation when it comes to engaging with your audience, and would basically be handing over that engagement to a robot. Do you see where the authenticity problem lies? Now, I'm not basing this trend just off of that one announcement. YouTube have also announced a new AI tool that is relative to this. This tool is called Comment Topics, and it allows you to get a summary of the core topics that people are talking about in the comment sections of your videos. Now, to set the record straight, I much prefer this tool. For anyone who has a lot of videos in their catalog and therefore has a lot of comments being racked up on a regular basis, this tool will be really useful to you because it allows you to get a pulse on what people are saying without having to sift through hundreds and hundreds of comments. It also doesn't remove you actually engaging with the comments itself. So I do quite like that tool. But both tools merged together definitely signal a new trend coming to AI's influence in how we engage with our audience. So what do we do about this? How do we leverage this? This is the time for authentic engagement to absolutely shine. You want to lean into features that are distinctively human when it comes to engaging with your audience. Not all the time, but as much as you can. For example, sending voice notes as responses to DMs. You can even send a voice note as a response to your YouTube comments now as well. That was a feature released earlier this year. You can even take it one step further and create spaces where AI just can't compete, like going live. AI isn't going to be responding to your live comments, at least not yet. And of course, you can share more behind the scenes content to really emphasize your human side. I love how I said human side, like we have other sides. We are human, just emphasize that. Okay, those are my trends for 2026. Could you tell that I really enjoyed filming this video? Don't forget that I'm going to be filming a creator economy trends and a social media marketing trends for businesses and brands in the coming weeks. If you want to get your hands on unlimited stock media at one set monthly price, head to storyblocks.com/Jade Beeson or click the link in my description. If you feel like hanging around, I recommend watching these two videos. I'm giving you two today so you can choose. This one's all about my 2026 Instagram strategy, and this one's all about my 2026 YouTube strategy. So pick your favorite channel, watch the video, and steal my strategy so that you don't have to come up with your own. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I can't wait to see you in my next video.